What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we give you all the updates on the fourth stimulus check update and the fourth round of stimulus, as there is multiple different provisions on the horizon besides just a fourth stimulus check, although nobody's saying no to a fourth stimulus check, as well as what's going on in the world today. In fact, the first story we're going to talk about is absolutely it's crazy. And I want to know your reaction. First, we're going to see Ohio Representative, he's a Republican, Jim Jordan. In fact, I'll tell you what such a small world it is. I'm from Ohio. I'm a wrestler. You can see my wrestling medal right there. I was second in the state for Ohio back when I wrestled in high school. And I went to two wrestling camps. I went to more than two wrestling camps, but two of them were the Jim Jordan wrestling camp and the Jeff Jordan wrestling camp. They were brothers. I went to both their wrestling camps. And the reason is because they were both four-time state champions, 4 times out of 4 years. You can see he won the state championship all 4 years he was in high school and compiled 156 wins and 1 loss record. He then enrolled at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he became a 2-time NCAA Division I wrestling champion. Jim Jordan won the 1985 and 1986 NCAA championship matches in the 134-pound weight class. Well, it seems like his wrestling days aren't over, as he's sparring with Dr. Fauci, and it gets very explosive. And I want to know your thoughts, because this is a very pressing matter for a lot of people on the future of our country. So let me know your thoughts, and here it is.
Well, in your written statement, you say, now is not the time to pull back on masking, physical distancing, and avoiding congregate settings. When is the time? When do Americans get their freedom back? Can you put your microphone on, please?
Sorry. When we get the level of infection in this country low enough that it is not a really high threat.
What is low enough? Give me a number. What, I mean, we had 15 days to slow the spread, turned into 1 year of lost liberty. What metrics, what measures, what has to happen before Americans get their freedoms back?
My message, Congressman Jordan, is to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as we possibly can to get the level of infection in this country low that it is no longer a threat. That is when. And I believe when that happens, you will see.
What determines when?
I'm sorry.
What measure? I mean, are we just going to continue this forever, or when do we get to the point? What measure? What standard? What objective outcome do we have to reach before Americans get their liberty and freedoms back?
You know, you're indicating liberty and freedom. I look at it as a public health measure to prevent people from dying and going to the hospital.
You don't think Americans' liberties have been threatened the last year, Dr. Fauci? They've been assaulted. Their liberties have.
I don't look at this as a liberty thing, Congressman Jordan.
Well, that's
I look
obvious.
At this as a public health thing.
But
I disagree with you on that.
You think the Constitution is suspended during a virus, during a pandemic? It's certainly not.
This will end for sure when we get the level of infection very low. It is now at such a high level, there's a threat again of major surges.
Dr. Fauci, over the last year, Americans' First Amendment rights have been completely attacked. Your right to go to church, your right to assemble, your right to petition your government, freedom of the press, freedom of speech have all been assaulted. I mean, for a year now, Americans haven't been able to go to church. Even today, when they go to church, they're limited in the size of worshipers who can meet. Your right to assemble? Oh, my goodness. We had a curfew last fall in Ohio. You had to be in your home at 10. In Pennsylvania, you had to be in your home. When you're in your home, you had to wear a mask. In Vermont, when you're in your home, you didn't have to wear a mask, Dr. Fauci, because you weren't allowed to have people over to your house.
Yeah, Congressman Jordan.
Your ability to petition your government, for a year, American citizens haven't been able to come to their capital to petition their government, to talk to their representatives, and freedom of the press. These very pictures that Representative Scalise just showed you and talked about, guess what? The press isn't allowed in those facilities. The press is not, the Biden administration will not let the press in there. And certainly freedom of speech. I mean, governor of our third largest state meets with physicians, and that video is censored because they dare to disagree with Dr. Fauci. So I just want to know, when do Americans get their First Amendment liberties back?
You know, I don't think anything was censured because they felt they couldn't disagree with me. I think you're making this a personal thing, and it isn't.
It's not a personal thing.
No, you are. That is exactly what you're doing.
No, your recommendations carry a lot of weight, Dr. Fauci. We just had the chair of
Yeah.
the Financial Services Committee said she loves you and you're the greatest thing in the world.
Will
My
the gentleman yield?
recommendations are consistent.
Will the gentleman yield?
No, it's my
Now,
time.
could I answer the question, please? My recommendations are not a personal recommendation. It's based on the CDC guidance, which is
And I'm asking a question.
underscored.
What measures have to be attained before Americans get their First Amendment liberties back?
I just told you that.
No, you haven't given anything specific. You said, we hope when this, tell me specifically.
Right
what measures
now,
have to be
right
reached.
now, we have about 60,000 infections a day, which is a very large risk for a surge. We're not talking about liberties. We're talking about a pandemic that has killed 560,000 Americans.
I get
That's
that,
what we're
Doc.
talking about.
And I don't disagree with that, and I understand how serious that is, but I also understand it's pretty serious when businesses have been shut down, people can't go to church, people can't assemble in their own homes with their friends, with their families, people can't go to a loved one's funeral, people can't get to their government, petition their representative to redress their grievances. I also understand the First Amendment's pretty darn important, and it's been a year, and I want to know when Americans will get those First Amendment liberties back.
Well, you just said people cannot assemble in their own homes. They can. That's a CDC recommendation for vaccinated
Not last
people.
fall, they couldn't.
I didn't hear.
Not last fall, they couldn't.
I didn't hear what he said.
The gentleman's time has expired. I'll give you one instance of when we can get our liberties back. It's when 90% of the members of the United States Congress get vaccinated.
Well, I want to know if that's what Dr. Fauci, is it 90%,
That's what
Dr. Fauci? Is it 90%? That's what I'd like to know. Give us some objective standards versus when certain things get reached, we might be able to get back to having our liberty. When? What are the numbers?
Well,
You're going to see a gradual, right now, we're at an unacceptably high level. On a daily basis, it's unacceptably high, regardless of who you are. What you're going to see as more and more people get vaccinated, and we get over 3 million people a day, you're going to see the level of infection come down, and gradually there will be more flexibility for doing the things that you're talking about.
Where does it get to? When it comes down, what number do we get our liberties back? Tell me the number. Tell me the number.
When 90% of the members of Congress get vaccinated.
But you're not a doctor, Mr. Clyburn. He is. What is the number?
I can't
Thank you
give,
for recognizing me, Mr. Clyburn. Thank you.
Chair
for
now
giving me the time.
recognizes for 5
I'd
minutes.
like my question
Ms.
answered.
Maloney.
I don't want.
Reclaiming my
I
time.
want a
Reclaiming my
question.
time.
Regular order, regular order.
No,
If-
Just a moment.
for all
Mr.
I
Mr.
am.
Chairman, I don't want you to answer my question. The American people want Dr. Fauci to answer the
Well-
question.
But
What does
your
it
time
have to be?
expires, sir. If you need to respect the chair and shut your mouth.
Don't worry about this. We're going to handle this. And I think Mr. Jordan knows me very well. And he knows full well that we're going to handle this. Your time has expired, and the chair now recognizes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Wow. It's I don't even know what to say. What an explosive disagreement, I guess we can say. And I understand where Jim Jordan's coming from. He's saying the people of America want to know, when do we get to go back to normal lives? And then Dr. Fauci he's in a really he's been getting grilled lately, man. He's in a tough position. Now, remember, Dr. Fauci is actually served under 6 different presidents. He started with President Ronald Reagan. So he's not just appointed by the Biden administration as a Democratic representative. He's been under 6 different presidents. He was just under President Trump. And but I think largely a lot of Republicans hate him and a lot of Democrats like him. It's kind of weird how the pandemic is a partisan thing, but Dr. Fauci's in a tough position because as a realist, I can see how either they don't know what the number is going to be when they say, okay, we can for sure open up, or two, it's too hard to really determine that. It's because, as you know, this virus is going up and down. We're actually in an increase of cases right now. 50% of U.S. states have reported an increase over the last week, and it's a very tricky situation with mutations and everything coming, and yet you have people wanting to open up, and then we have new cases spiking and new variants and new viruses, and now the Pfizer and Moderna are saying that there's going to be a third shot, that 2 shots isn't enough. You're going to have to get a booster shot 6 to 12 months later. And I kind of think we're figuring this situation out as we're going through it, because this is largely a new precedence for us. I mean, we've never shut the country down for a pandemic in recent age, in your lifetime or my lifetime. I don't know how old you are, but I don't think you lived all the way back to the Spanish flu. But yeah, it's just crazy. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, because this is the situation that our country is dealing with right now. On the 4th stimulus check, more and more press and more support is happening with the 4th stimulus check. We're getting more people on board from Congress, and also influential groups of people that are not from Congress pushing for a 4th stimulus check to be included in the infrastructure package. Mainstream media is now starting to pick up the push for the 4th stimulus check to be included in this infrastructure package, which is good, because the more attention it gets, the more support it gets. And I do ultimately end up thinking we will receive at least 1 stimulus check in this next package, although the majority of Democrats that are pushing are ready for a 4th stimulus check, are pushing for not just a single stimulus check, they're pushing for the monthly stimulus checks. As you can see here from the Senate bill from Ed Markey and Elizabeth Warren, who are pushing President Biden for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks until the pandemic is over. This is the bill in the Senate. This is the bill in the House from Michigan Representative Rashida Tlaib and Representative Jayapower, the co-authors on this one. A $2,000 stimulus checks and then $1,000 monthly stimulus payments until 1 year after the pandemic is declared over. Of course, as we just seen in that fight between Representative Jim Jordan and Dr. Fauci, we don't know when the pandemic is going to be declared over. We'll have to wait and see, as the government has not announced a statistic or any type of data or milestone to hit on when that could be coming in the future. Dr. Fauci has previously said that he thinks that the absolute earliest the pandemic could be declared over by the government, which means the government will declare us out of a state of emergency at some point, hopefully. The earliest that could be would be the end of this year. Most likely not, but that's the earliest. A new study is out that says a 4th stimulus check, just a single stimulus check, could lift up to 7 million Americans out of poverty, just with a single 4th stimulus check. If they go ahead with the monthly stimulus checks plan, well, that could be many, many tens of millions. I mean, we could see, I don't know, 20 or 30%, 25% of the country lifted out of poverty or above the poverty line if they were able to implement these monthly stimulus checks. That's how drastic this would help our country and our economy in addition. Remember, a new recent data points came out that in March, which was just the beginning of the 3rd stimulus check, that retail sales rose by 9.8% just with the stimulus checks hitting at the end of March. And we'll likely see that or more in April. And this is very good, because the legislators look at it's helping the people, but also helping the economy, and retail sales spiking up by 9.8% is a huge, like, vitamin B shot in the arm of the American economy. So that's what they want to see, that these stimulus checks are not just being saved and people are hoarding them. I don't think very many people are doing that. I know the majority of people are spending it on food and rent and bills. I've seen your guys' comments saying, yeah, as soon as I got that check, it was gone within a matter of a few days or even less. And that's actually what the congressmen and congresswomen want to see. They want to see that it's not only helping the people, which is plan A, but it's also helping the economy, which is plan B, which is helping businesses stay afloat. We've seen back in February that 22% of small businesses closed just in February alone. So they want to help the economy. That the economy helps people keep their jobs. Money goes around so many different times. You get a stimulus check, say you spend it on food. Then that food employer, that grocery store, pays their employee goes home and pays their bills, they pay it on rent, and so on and so forth. It continues to go around in the economy and help in multiple different ways. Senator Elizabeth Warren, one of the most senior senators in the Senate for the Democrat side, says when you put money in the pockets of struggling families, they spend it, and that spending lifts up our whole economy. Now, just imagine the boost we'd see after canceling student debt for tens of millions of Americans. Remember, Elizabeth Warren is the co-author with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer for both the canceling of up to $50,000 in student loan debt bill, but also the $200 per month Social Security increase. So if you want either one of those in the near future, I recommend you email them, call them, tweet them. Senators Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, and maybe Bernie Sanders or AOC as well. Tweet them and tell them, hey, we want this student loan debt forgiveness, or hey, we want this $200 per month Social Security increase. The more they see messages like that and the more they see the outreach for that, the more support it gets. Once we get more and more congressmen and congresswomen talking about this, believe it or not, that makes a massive, massive difference. That is likely the entire difference that we've seen for the second stimulus check. If you remember, originally they introduced the second stimulus check package and it had no stimulus check in there. It was a stimulus package without a check, which we have seen in the past. We've currently had 5 packages passed underneath former President Donald Trump, 1 underneath Biden. Out of those 6, only 3 of them had stimulus checks. And it was like the first one and like the 5th or 6th or something like that, 4th or 5th. So initially, the second stimulus check package didn't have a second stimulus check in there in December of last year. And I remember announcing it to you, and it was just like, oh my God, how am I going to announce this, right? And eventually, the outcry of both you guys, the American people, and congressmen and congresswomen, we actually had the charge leading back then was Senator Bernie Sanders, Democratic/independent senator, and Republican Senator Josh Hawley were standing up and leading the charge to include a $1,200 stimulus check in that bill. And we know that at this point, they went to the Senate to do an up or down vote for it. And Republican Senator Ron Johnson stood up and said, I object. And that bill died on the Senate floor. But that wasn't the end of it, because the push and the momentum and the outcry from people lingered. And it didn't die with that bill. And eventually, we seen them at the very last minute take the money away from states and cities so they didn't have to increase the size of the bill. At the time, it was less than $1 trillion because they had to negotiate with Republicans, and Republicans didn't want to spend more than $1 trillion. So without raising the price of the bill, they just took the money away from states and cities. It was $160 billion, and they gave that to you guys in the form of the $600 second stimulus check and $600 for children. That is how the $600 stimulus check came to be. They literally took that money away, gave it to you guys as a stimulus check, and voted on it literally like 2 days later. They wrote the bill, voted on it, and it was passed, and it happened that fast. So literally up until the last moment was the second stimulus check added into that package. And we could see that again with this package as well. Remember, they have not announced the second part of this package, which is the infrastructure package, which Bernie Sanders says, the second part of it, which is the human infrastructure. Bernie Sanders says the human infrastructure is more important than the physical infrastructure. And the human infrastructure is where we could see stimulus checks, we could see recurring stimulus checks, we could see them added in at the last moment, we could see the Medicare and Medicaid expansion. Bernie Sanders is leading the charge on that, to include hearing and dental coverage inside Medicare and possibly Medicaid. They also want to lower the age eligibility for Medicare and Medicaid. We don't know the details of this yet until it actually becomes a bill and it's in writing. But they want to lower this possibly to age 60 or even 55, which would make millions of Americans qualify for it earlier, and possibly for you even now. They're also talking about including free adult community college, as well as free preschool, as well as the student loan debt cancellation. So there is a lot. Oh, and also extending the child tax credits to $3,000 to $3,600 that the IRS is going to start paying out in monthly payments starting this summer in likely July, that they are going to pay monthly payments on this to American families with children. That is kind of the start of the monthly payments. Of course, we want to see more. We want to see the fourth stimulus check for all adults, not just the child tax credits. But they could increase the child tax credits for more than just 1 year, or even make it permanent. So, like I said, there's a lot on the horizon, and I will keep you up to date on everything. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on updates around about the fourth round of stimulus and also what's going on in the world today. Don't miss an episode because we cover different things in different episodes. New videos come out every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click the bell icon down below after subscribing to get reminder notifications. Click it to all notifications to get reminders for the first 3 videos of the day. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I've had dozens of students replace their 9-to-5 income selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.